Welcome to the Travel Like a Boss podcast, where we interview location-independent entrepreneurs that travel the world like a boss by being their own boss. Here's your host, Johnny FD.
Hey guys, it's Johnny and welcome to Travel Like a Boss podcast. I am back in Chiang Mai and I'm back with Nick Danforth.
How's it going? Welcome back, dude.
Dude, thank you. I'm so excited to be back.
Episode 185. You're coming up on 200.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think we're going to have to do a special 200th episode. Almost like UFC 200.
UFC 200. Travel Like a Boss 200.
Yeah, I like it. And you were back on episode 114, which we recorded in Koh Lanta.
No, I think we recorded it here, actually. We were in Thailand. I don't remember.
No, we were definitely in Koh Lanta.
Okay.
And because I remember, if you guys have listened to the episode, we talked about how Nick basically, did you drop out of high school or?
Sort of, yeah. So like I left high school, we'll just do the abbreviated version. Left high school junior year. I was like, I'm done with high school. I want to start going to college because I was sick of high school. Did one semester of college. And then I was like, nah, I don't want this. So then I left college. And
So
I
you
haven't been
dropped
back
out of both.
Yeah, I dropped out of both. Double dropout.
All right. Well, now you're pretty successful and living a good life. And actually, that's actually why I wanted to have you on the show, is because we were talking this morning over coffee about, what we did this past year. So this is, the New Year's special.
It's worth saying that it's the 31st of December.
Yeah.
So,
and by the time you guys listen to it, it's going to be 2018. So
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah.
But we were talking about kind of what we did this past year, also our goals for next year, but also kind of what we've been up to, because I haven't seen you now in...
It's been since February.
Yeah. So I haven't been back in Thailand for almost a year, which is the longest I've ever gone without being in Thailand for the past decade.
It's crazy, dude.
But in that time, you've pretty much moved here.
Yeah. So Steph, my wife, and I, we basically moved here in July this year. We've traveled to Chiang Mai a few times and spent decent stretches here, but we've mostly been traveling for the last 5 years. Like we started just bouncing around before we even knew like digital nomadism was a thing. We started traveling and I was working online at the time and, we weren't making much, but we were making enough to get by and just like enjoying traveling around. We've been doing that for a few years now. And I think as most people do, you sort of slow down over time and you find places that you like and you keep going back to them. And I think it just hit us earlier this year that we were ready to be settled again. Like we still are traveling. Like we travel probably more than the average person in a 9-to-5 job. And we have friends all over the world. So we'll go to Europe to visit friends or down to Australia or other parts of Thailand. But I think we were really ready to have a base again. And Chiang Mai just makes sense as a good place for a base. Like it ticks a lot of boxes. And so we moved here earlier this year. And so this is the longest stretch that you've gone without being in Thailand. This is the longest stretch that we've been in one country for like the last 5 years. So we've like flip-flopped.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I really think that it's becoming a trend, especially with the long-term nomads, the people that I've met now, years ago who are still living this lifestyle. And I actually think most people are. I think I know very few people who went back to their hometown to live again after living the nomad life. There's a few people who have settled somewhere. I think that's almost Nomad 2.0.
Yeah, I think that it's just natural. Like, I think it's a natural trend to expect. There are people who will say like, yeah, I'm going to travel forever. Like, I'm never gonna like live somewhere again. I'm always going to live out of a bag, which, I think is a cool idea for a while. Like, we thought that could be an option at a certain point, but after a while, I think we all just realized like there's some really nice things about being settled. And I think it fills a lot of basic human needs, like emotional, mental, psychological needs, to have somewhere where you live. And the cool thing about like living a nomadic life for a while is you get to try a bunch of different cities, different countries and cultures. You meet different people, you expand your worldview, you can grow a business, and then you sort of get the luxury of choosing like, all right, well, where do I want to go? You're not so limited in your thinking, whereas you might just stay in your hometown or move to a different state or something like that. It starts becoming like realistic to say, yeah, I'm going to move to Thailand. And so, here we are, a couple of Americans, but like living in Thailand and like really trying to set up here and have a home base. And that's like a really cool 2.0, as you say, like a really cool next step, I think, in the nomad journey.
Yeah, I really like it. For the last 10 months, I've been living out of a duffel bag, my North Face rolling duffel. And it wasn't until literally like a few days ago when I was in the US and I was getting ready to pack again, but I had ordered all the stuff from online.
God, I miss Amazon.
Yeah. Well, actually the reason why I don't miss it, I don't miss living in the US, is because it's so easy to buy stuff and just accumulate mostly junk. I would say obviously 100% of things that you buy online or you buy in general, you want it at that time. but what percentage of things do you think you still want? And I don't want to say regret buying, because that's not a good word, but I guess the real key question would be, 3-6 months later, or maybe a year later, if you pick up that item that you still have, if you could have traded that for that amount of cash and just never bought it in the first place, would you do it?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess that's a good point. It makes it like really special actually now when like friends come over from the US, because they're like, oh man, we can place an Amazon order and have them bring us some stuff, and like we actually appreciate it a little bit more.
And it forces us to really think about, like, is this something we really want? Because not only do we have to bother a friend to bring it to us, but we know it's going to be, we have to wait like months and months of thinking about it and saying, do I really need this thing? Do I really want it? And it kind of just makes it easier to have less stuff. Yeah,
definitely. I think that's a byproduct of living out of a bag for a while too. Like those of us who have traveled for a few years, it shifts your mindset a little bit, where you don't even think about purchasing stuff as much. That said, now that we're like living here, it's been so weird. Like I bought like a blender and I bought a coffee pot again, and I had to buy like bed sheets and a new bath mat, like all this stuff that I haven't had to think about for ages, and like screwdrivers for the house and cleaning supplies. It's like, whoa, like it's very different at this point. Like, but it also feels really good. Yeah, it feels really good to be settled here, and we're really enjoying just like having a base again.
Yeah, I like it. And you have a really, really cool apartment.
Thanks, dude.
So you're living right on Niemen Road, which is the main kind of cool area of Chiang Mai.
Yep.
Where all the nomads pretty much live.
Yep.
And we live here because I think it's the best.
Yeah, I think it depends what you're after. Like, we really enjoy being here, but to be honest, we're thinking about moving, further outside of the city, because we both drive scooters, and we were talking about earlier how easy it is to get around with Uber now. And there's definitely a part of us that's, like we don't, as much as it's cool to have like coffee shops and restaurants and stuff to do like right on your doorstep, we don't need it. And we've sort of settled into a little bit more boring lifestyle, honestly, where we spend more time at home. And it would be cool to have like a yard and, a little more peace and quiet and stuff like that. But I don't know, that's the cool thing about still maintaining that location independent sort of lifestyle, is like we have income that's not dependent on us commuting to an office, and we work from home, and we get to sort of set up our life how we want. So if we want to live like right here in the middle of, the happening area of Chiang Mai, we can do that. And if we decide like next year we want to move to a house and be like 20 minutes outside of town, we can do that. And it's not like a big like imposition on our lifestyle. We can just sort of adjust our life to fit it.
Yeah, you're right. And I guess best location or best place really is relative to what we need, what we want. You two are in a relationship. You guys are enjoying a lot of kind of home time, cooking a lot, even though it's normal. And it's very nice when you first move to Thailand to eat 21 meals at a restaurant.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's cheap, it's convenient, it's fast. But when you live here kind of long term doing the Nomad 2.0, it's kind of nice to be able to cook.
Yeah, definitely. And the more like I've been thinking about it, this whole like, if we want to call it Nomad 2.0, like season that we're moving into, and I think a lot of people are moving into, it's not about picking like one thing over the other. It's more just about having the option to do a lot of things. So like for us, and I think for many people, when you first start traveling, like you start traveling because you want to see places, but also you don't have the money to maintain a base back at home wherever you're from and then go travel freely or whatever. Like it just makes financial sense. Just like pack everything up and move from place to place, rent short term. But now, like, we're reaching this point, and there's a lot of people reaching this point where it's like they find somewhere they want to live and their businesses are doing better too. And you make enough money where like we can have a home base here, but also if a friend's like, hey, let's go down to Australia for a couple weeks or let's plan this trip. It's not like, crap, well, I'm paying double rent now and I can't disappear or I can't go away for like a month or two. Like we're reaching this point where we can maintain a home base here, still travel as much as we like while having something to come back to. And I think it's the same with like having a nice kitchen and cooking and stuff. Like we still eat out probably half our meals. But it's also nice to say, you know what? I can afford to have a nice kitchen and I can cook when I want. I can eat out when I want. I'm not limited to like one or the other.
I like that. And in the beginning, it's good to be able to, house hack or location arbitrage hack
totally.
Where we save a lot of money. Like, it's literally cheaper for me to travel full time than to live back in California.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like, you can definitely live cheaper in Chiang Mai too. Like, just to go off that location arbitrage thing, a lot of people come here because they are bootstrapping. They want to save money. It's an awesome place to do that. But like, we spend like $800, $900 US dollars a month on an apartment, which if you're coming from California isn't that much. But if you're somebody who's been in Chiang Mai, like we've had so many people like, oh my gosh, that's so expensive. How could you be spending that much money? But you reach this Nomad 2.0 state, and it's not all about saving money. It's not all about having like the cheapest. It's more about planning and orchestrating your life to give you the most value and the most like quality. And that's like a really cool place to be, where we have some money and we are living somewhere where it's cheap for sure, like compared to a lot of Western cities. But now we're like sort of making our money really work for us and saying, what do we want out of life and how can our money get us there? And whether we're spending, you know, like $900 on an apartment in Chiang Mai or we find something for $300, it doesn't matter so much. It's more about the value that we're getting out of it.
Yeah. And I think before people get upset, you know, because actually a lot of people, when they find out how much I'm paying now, they think I'm insane.
Yeah, you're getting ripped off, and like, why would you ever pay that much in Chiang Mai?
Yeah, but I think it's, and there's no like I don't want people listening to this who are just starting out thinking that Nomad 2.0 is better than Nomad 1.0 or whatever you want to call it. It's just a different stage, you know, where when I first came, I really valued having a low cost of living so I could bootstrap my business, so I can, you know, kind of extend, you know, my life and kind of start living the location dependent life sooner than I'd be able to if I had to save up and build, you know, a bigger business. But now that I'm actually, you know, or both of us, you know, and not just the two of us, but like literally a lot of people that we know who have been working online now or being a nomad for many years are starting to make a lot of money, you know, and we can afford to live in $1,000 apartments versus, you know, and having like real creature comforts at home. So like both of us now live in a great location with a big apartment, like nice big living room where people can come over and we can entertain, you know, and we can have friends come over to watch movies and all fit on the couch versus having a studio apartment or just like a room, which is pretty much, you know, where most people live when they first come because it's cheap. It's like, you know, $200 to $300 a month.
And it also forces you to get out and experience the city, which I think is really important when you go somewhere. Like when we first came to Chiang Mai, we lived in a smallish 1-bedroom apartment and it was comfortable, but there wasn't much to it. But we were out all the time. Like we were trying coffee shops and trying restaurants and exploring the neighborhood. And that was really valuable. Like, I think if we had moved into like a super posh, comfy place when we first got here, we wouldn't have experienced as much of Chiang Mai because it would have been way easier to just sit at home or just stay within a very, very small radius. Yeah,
by not having a kitchen when you first come. And because, so just to kind of give an idea of what apartments are like in Thailand, most people live in the equivalent of a hotel room. You know, there's no kitchen. You have a bed and a bathroom. Yeah. And that's it.
And if you step up, it's still like a hotel room, but it's more like extended stay America or something. Like you might have a little kitchenette, a microwave, and a tiny 2-burner stove, which really isn't good for anything, and a little sink and barely any counter space. So like you might be able to make breakfast in the morning or make a cup of coffee, but you're not really going to be sitting there preparing full meals.
Yeah. And, you know, usually you're not going to have like space for more than like 1 or 2 people to come over. Yeah. So you're not going to hang out at home. And in the beginning, it's fine because it forces you to eat out 21 meals a week pretty much. So you're exploring, you're having fun. And if you're here for short term, it's great. But now that, you know, there's a lot of people in our position who are doing like the long-term nomading where we don't want to get burnt out. We want to have the creature comforts of being home while still have the benefits of being location dependent, living in other places. Now it's nice to be able to have friends over to watch a movie or play video games or cook or play board games.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've already done all that exploring. And I mean, we're still finding new places. Chiang Mai is such an awesome city, especially like I would advise anybody who's coming here and really wants to have a full experience of the place, like get out of the neighborhood too, like explore Niman. But like we're starting to explore like lots of really cool places on the east side or south of the city or north of the city. Like we're finding so much cool new stuff. But the fact that we've already done some time of just having to eat out all the time and working out of a coffee shop because we didn't have like a desk at home and stuff like that. It means that now we feel so free. We have so many options. It's like if I just want to sit at home, I've got a big kitchen. I can make a meal, but I also know dozens of restaurants. And if I'm feeling lazy, like I can just pop down the road, or I can even get on my scooter and drive a few minutes and I can go to an awesome restaurant. I can still eat cheap. I can still enjoy those things that a lot of people come to Thailand for, like cheap cost of living, nice restaurants, great food and coffee shops and stuff. It's just, like I said, it's about having the option.
Yeah. And a lot of it is actually just setting goals. Cause I was telling Nick earlier about the apartment I'm in, that was my goal 3 years ago when I first looked at it. I remember at that time I had just started my first dropshipping store. So I was making okay money, but it wasn't making a ton. I was making like let's say like $2,000 a month or something. And there's no way I was able to afford, a $1,000 a month apartment because that would have been half my money.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had any money to travel or to save up. But I remember looking at it and thinking, this is amazing. It has floor to ceiling windows. It has a separate shower and this huge kind of bathtub that you could fit 2 people in. It was just comfortable and beautiful. I had a great view. And I remember thinking, this is where I want to live. This is my goal. And it took me, way longer than probably needed to reach that goal. But I was, I think now that I actually like moved in and during the day, instead of feeling like I need to leave the house, I can just sit there and just have a view of, palm trees and banana trees and the swimming pool, have lots of natural light, and just have space where I can work from home if I wanted to, instead of feeling like I need to get out of the house as soon as I wake up because it's just not comfortable to be in this small place.
Yeah, absolutely. And the great thing is at the end of the day, it's still not that expensive. Like compared to living in the West, it's still not that expensive. $1,000 won't get you much in many Western cities. So the fact that you can have that luxury really does show that the power of location arbitrage is still there. Even when you start to splurge, you're still not out a lot of money. When you come out to a place like Chiang Mai or Eastern Europe or whatever, you can still live a very, very high quality of life. And yeah, you're not going to be living on $1,000 a month or whatever, but you up your budget a little bit and your standard of living goes through the roof in a place like this.
Yeah, definitely. So I remember for the longest time, like pretty much the first 4 years of my life, I was on a $600 a month budget, which is about 20,000 baht. And it was fine. You get your own place, basically a hotel room. You eat out Thai food every meal, and you still have a little bit of money left over for a gym or co-working space membership or something. And it was fine. I really enjoyed it. I literally wrote a book about it called 12 Weeks in Thailand, The Good Life on the Cheap. And I'm really happy I did that. And I still encourage most people to start that way. I don't encourage most people to come and right away check into the nicest place they can, just settle down, because as Nick said, you don't explore and you don't do all the things that kind of living that more basic life kind of almost forces you to do, but also gives you the options to do. Because when you're paying $300 a month for rent, it's normal. Just, it's really easy to keep that place year round, even though you might travel 6 months out of it, because at the end of the day, you're only paying like, $3,000 a month, a year for rent.
Yeah.
But if you have a place that's $1,000 a month, even though you can technically Airbnb it out or, have someone stay there or sublet it, it's hard just to leave empty. And it's nice to have that option to be able to leave it empty, but it's hard, especially in the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say, like, for anyone who's curious, because I like being, open and transparent about it. Right now, Steph and I, so there's 2 of us, we're married, we have a really nice apartment in the most expensive neighborhood in Chiang Mai, probably. We're spending around 100,000 baht a month all in. So that's around $3,000 US, and that includes rent, and it factors in visa fees, weekend trips, groceries, all that. And this is the highest quality of life we've ever had in living somewhere. Like, we don't really restrict in any way. Like, if a friend wants to go out to like a nice craft beer bar or go out and have a cocktail on the river or something, we'll go do that. We eat out whenever we want. We also cook at home whenever we want, and we'll buy like import food products and stuff, which are typically expensive. And there are undoubtedly going to be people who hear this and are just appalled that we spend so much money in Chiang Mai and we're like getting ripped off left and right. But it's really cool to see that for $36,000 a year, just in expenditures, 2 people can live such an amazing high quality of life. So if you're maybe thinking about, like, maybe you've been traveling for a while, you're thinking about like, I want to settle somewhere longer term, or you're looking to increase your quality of life and you don't know like what goals to set, that might give you an idea of what we're spending for 2 people. And like I said, we're very, very comfortable. We're not lacking for anything. Yeah.
And that's, awesome that as a couple, $3,000 as a couple really isn't that much because it's $1,500 each.
Yeah.
If you're single, you probably be spending, let's say, $2,000, maybe 2,500 because a lot of it is the apartment costs. But even then, I would say about $2,000, right?
Yeah.
And even then, for that quality of life, there's no way we can have that in the US for anything less than double.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But we still have goals, and even if we don't move back to the US, it would be amazing, like, I think for anyone to be in a place financially where they could move to the US or they could move to Western Europe or something if they really wanted to be there and not have money be a limiting factor. That's that's just a part of life, I think, for all of us, for every entrepreneur. There's always seasons where money is a limiting factor, and you have to watch it, and you have to be careful, and a lot of your choices are determined by money. But getting to a point of financial freedom is something that we've always prioritized, and we're still working towards, saving even more for retirement and stuff like that, but not having to make life choices based on money, but more based on happiness and health and what we need to prosper and succeed just in all aspects of life is a really incredible place to be in.
I like it. So I'm sure everyone's wondering, what are you actually doing for money?
Man, so it's changed since we last talked. Believe it or not, I stepped aside from consulting and doing research and stuff like that, just because, and this could be a whole separate podcast, I've been learning a lot about myself, becoming more self-aware, and also changing just how I view money. And I've just realized that even though I'm good at business and there are aspects I enjoy about business, I don't want my life to be dominated by business. Money for me and for Steph and I as a couple is really just a tool that we use to enable ourselves to live the life that we want, to be able to give back, to obviously be able to support ourselves and a family. And we don't want to put more time and effort into it than we need because it's purely a means to an end. I've been trying to detach emotion from it. And so I stepped aside from consulting and I actually started doing a few side projects, but one of them was dropshipping items on eBay.
Oh, I actually had no idea you started.
We're only just seeing each other now after almost a year. So I started doing that and it started doing well. And I really enjoyed it because it was very methodical, very transactional. There wasn't much emotion behind it. It's A to B, like volume to dollars. And it was something that I could like shut the laptop on and walk away from. And it was just sort of like a manual labor job almost, I guess. It's just something you do and it makes money and then you go and you live your life, which I was really missing when I was running a business. So I need to close out my books for December, but I think I did around $8,400 in profit off of the eBay store.
Wow. That's a lot.
One eBay store. And so now I'm working on just automating it, optimizing it. I have a team of VAs who are already doing a lot of stuff. My goal for the next few months is to really get it fully automated because I don't need $8,000 a month. It's nice, but I don't need it. I'd much rather have total freedom of time and take $5,000 a month and go start something else. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. Steph has spent most of the year doing web design and branding. She does logos. She also has a gig on Fiverr for logo design, which has done pretty well. And she's actually now totally outsourced that to somebody else who's managing it. So we got that as an income stream. She's actually started a dropshipping store just for kicks and giggles, and it's starting to make some money. But for the most part, it's a wash at this point, just experimenting and, we're throwing money into ads and stuff. But yeah, we have a few other like little side projects going. I think Steph has a digital goods store on Etsy, a lot of little bits and bobs, but that was the big money for the last few months. It's actually this eBay store.
You just blew my mind. I had no idea that you started doing that.
Yeah. But it has been really, really nice. Just sort of separating my emotions and my mind from money a bit. And especially moving into this nice apartment and getting settled in life, like I don't want to be thinking about business all the time. Like I'm really enjoying things like cooking and exercise and going out to the park with friends. And when I look back at my life, I don't want to look back on my life and have my only legacy be like, I spent a lot of time building business and I lived in amazing places and spent 10 hours a day working on my business. I guess I'm really moving more towards that lifestyle entrepreneur thing. And I know that has a lot of negative connotations, but just trying to be really thoughtful about it and get into a really healthy view of money and wealth and prosperity. And sort of that's what I've stumbled upon, like building digital assets and things that will make me money automatically, or things that I can work on that don't require a lot of really intense decision making, a lot of really intense thought and emotion. I can just sort of set up a mechanism, an operation that's going to make money, and then focus on the important things in life, like friendship, family, health, and yeah.
I love it. That's amazing. Yeah. And you know what's crazy is I just spent the last month staying at my buddy David Vu's house in Huntington Beach, California, and he reminded me that just like 2 years ago, when I first interviewed him on the show about dropshipping on eBay, that was episode 82, I was skeptical. Even though I had a successful dropshipping business online, I thought that dropshipping on eBay I don't want to call it a scam, but people like, you hear like, all these people, trash talking it online on Reddit or on Facebook groups saying that doesn't work. There's no possible way, you can make money dropshipping on eBay. And that's why I interviewed him, because he had a course that seemed like he was getting good results and it seemed like he knew what he was talking about. So I interviewed him and I was like, you know what? Everything works. Like,
yeah. And I think the longer you're in business, the more creative you get in your thinking. And I think that's some of the special sauce that I brought to the table when I started selling stuff on eBay. The bottom line is there are so many ways to skin a cat. That money is not that difficult to come by. You just have to identify gaps in a market. You have to figure out how you can provide value. And very importantly, you do have to work hard. Like, even if you want to get to a business that you're only working, like the 4-hour work week or whatever, like, you do have to work hard. You have to invest and you have to be consistent. And so I saw some opportunity on eBay. I saw like international markets that were being underserved. I saw an opportunity to provide really, really amazing customer service and go above and beyond, like give people the small business sort of experience when they're buying through eBay. And it's things like that have helped me win. And so to anybody who discounts any type of business, there might be smarter ways to do, business than like you see somebody else doing it. Like, there might be optimizations that you could apply, but anything will work if you put yourself to it, you test, you keep what works, you get rid of what doesn't, and you just figure out ways to be creative and unique in a market. And so, yeah, it's done really well. And I very realistically expect it to be a healthy 6-figure income next year. I don't feel like it's tapped out. It's still growing, but as nice as that is going to be, it's not my number one priority to make lots more money with it. Like, right now, I want to automate it. I want to free up even a little more mental space, let it run. If I make less money, no problem. But I think I will actually make more, like having time to focus on the business and how to strategize and grow it. So it's done pretty well.
I like it. Big congrats on that, man.
Thanks, dude.
And actually, what's funny is right when you said it, even without knowing your business, because I literally didn't even know you were doing it until live on this podcast. Yeah. I can already tell that you would be good at it, because I really think that when someone has good business skills in another field, they just apply it to whatever next business it is. I guarantee if you took, a successful business person and you just put them in a different industry, or, for example, if for whatever reason Jeff Bezos decided to start dropshipping on eBay for whatever reason, not that he would, I bet you he would destroy it. He would do so well, because he would put the work ethic in, he would put the ideas in, and he would just dominate. And the fact that, you had the skill set, built up from running the other businesses and the work ethic, I knew that you would do well with this. That's great.
Yeah, I think that's also like, I want to dovetail that into recommending, like, if anybody's starting in business, try a bunch of things, because that experience, like, whether you realize it or not, it impacts your decision making, it impacts the way you view problems. And so somebody who's tried a bunch of different businesses and failed and then starts something successful is probably going to be more successful than a person who started something and was successful the first time, because we're a product of our experiences. And so even if you try 3 or 4 different business models or try several different things and none of them do well, you'll probably be more successful in the end, because whether you realize it or not, that failure is an important part of business experience, and that makes you a smarter business person in the long term.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And it's crazy how many like doubters there are out there, and I know there's probably a lot of kind of misinformation.
Yeah,
there's like really hypey guys like Ty Lopez selling the lifestyle, and I think it kind of leaves a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And I'm sure there's some courses out there, or probably a lot of courses out there taught by people who have never done it themselves.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like, it's hard, it's difficult to have the right mindset getting in. But I think when I meet people who have been successful at really any business, they can look at something and be like, oh yeah, I can see how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. And ways to improve it too. But yeah, it like I said, it's done well, and it's been a really nice departure from interacting with clients and having to think about business strategy and growth and all this stuff all the time, which there's aspects of that I really, really love too. I love building relationships with clients, and I love solving complex problems. But like I said, ultimately, I don't want my only legacy to be a person who built great businesses. And so, yeah, drop shipping isn't something that I want to do forever. It's not like my dream job, but I'm thinking less and less about what my dream job is and thinking more and more about what my dream life is. Yeah. And there are so many more important things in life for me than building a business. So I don't have any aspirations right now to go and build another company or start a big corporation or whatever. Maybe I will, but right now it's just not a priority. And I feel really, really blessed to have some business knowledge and to have opportunities on the internet to make money that enable me to live, such a high quality of life.
Yeah, I love that. And I think the fact that our living costs are so low that we have that option to say, you know what, let's start something new that potentially might make us nothing.
Yeah.
Or if it does make us money, maybe it'll, initially make a little bit less than our other business, but it gives us more time and freedom. And the fact that you started it while, being abroad, it forces us to make everything location dependent and easily outsourceable, automated.
Keeping it lean, keeping it low cost, low friction, and outsourceable. And it's really great because it's really great living over here. A side benefit is that my VAs are all in the Philippines. And so we're only 1 hour time zone difference. So I get a lot of time to work with my team, which is another reason why I think I've succeeded, because I've been able to pass so much off and work real time with them and train them and answer their questions throughout the day. And they've grown a lot and come a lot further than they would have if I was, managing them from the US or from Europe. So that's been cool.
So how long have you been dropshipping on eBay now?
I put up my first products about maybe 15 months ago. I didn't make any meaningful money. Like I think I made my first $1,000 a month in January of this year. And then I think it was April, I made 3,500. In May, I made around 5,000. I sort of leveled off through the summer, which is a slower e-commerce time. And I've just sort of ramped up now for the holidays. I've also been doing a lot of experimenting too. I've probably shot myself in the foot in some ways because I've tried this. I'm like, let's delete 1,000 listings in one go and see what happens. And let's try totally changing the process. And I've probably slowed my growth in that way, but it's been fun to experiment. And it's done pretty consistently well.
Very cool. So first 3 months, wasn't making that much money, just experimenting. And then
I think I broke even.
Okay.
I think I broke even.
But you got the data, you got the learning experience, got to start building up your account. Mm-hmm. So I think that's when most people give up. They're like, I've been doing this for 3 months, not making any money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think something that has served me well is I was thinking pretty long term at the start. So I went in and I priced my items really low, to the point where I basically made no money. Some of them I even took a loss on, but I knew that because I was selling on a platforms reward you for sales. They reward you for regular activity. And it would be way better for me long term to sell products at a loss for a few months and build up a good account standing on eBay, as opposed to trying to make money from the first sale, which a lot of people do, but then their growth is a lot slower. And I'm sure it's a way to do it, but I think there's a lot of benefit to thinking long term, not getting emotionally invested in every single sale and making money from every single transaction. And that could be a whole nother podcast talking about the mechanisms of that, but it's done pretty well and I'm very happy about it.
That makes sense because, I'm assuming it was a new eBay account, so you didn't have the reputation, you didn't have the reviews yet. So the fact that you can sell products, I wouldn't recommend to anyone to lose a ton of money on a product, but if you're just breaking even, you're getting a positive review, you're getting your account built up, some momentum, then it's a good investment.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to keep doing it for a little while. If I get it fully automated, I'll probably sit on it for a while. It is an option. I could sell it and transfer the account to somebody and get a lump sum of cash. So we'll just sort of have to see where life takes us and what goals are going forward.
When did you hire your first VA?
I hired my first VA the first month I made $1,000. So in January, I hired a VA.
Really smart. So you took that first $1,000 in profit and you're like, okay, I'm going to find someone. And what are you paying them?
So I've got a few different VAs, VAs that are doing hourly tasks for me, like customer service and updating stuff on the store. I generally pay them around $3 an hour. Sometimes I pay them a little less, but I also really like to bonus my VAs. I like to keep my team happy. I like to incentivize them. So I'll send them gifts and I'll chuck $50 in their account or something like that, which makes them really loyal to me and really makes them invested in their job. And then I also have VAs who are creating listings on eBay for me so that the store is always growing. And they're getting paid anywhere from 25 cents to 40 cents a listing, depending on the VA, how long they've been with me, what their specialty is.
And where are you finding the VAs?
I've been finding them on Upwork, but I'm thinking about hiring my next member from a website called onlinejobs.ph. And I have hired from there before. And I have found good quality VAs. The benefit of doing that is you pay a one-time fee to access the site, but then you don't pay any fees to the platform ongoing. So if you want to find a VA long term, it can be a good option because otherwise Upwork is going to take, I think it's 5% extra from you and then 5 to 20% from your VA of every single payment. Whereas online jobs, you get their contact information directly and then you can pay them directly through PayPal or Payoneer or something.
That makes sense. So I actually used onlinejobs.ph when I first started my first dropshipping store like 3 or 4 years ago, and they were great. They were amazing. Yeah. But then I tried them again last year and I hated them.
I would maybe try them again. You might have just got a bad apple because I hired somebody for the company that I was doing last year, and she was incredible. I hired her through online jobs, and she had all the right skills. She was really, really communicative, really good English.
I think what it is it's 100% dependent on the person you find, not necessarily the platform.
Yes.
I think the reason why I was really disappointed with online jobs this year was I remember in the beginning, it felt like they screened their VAs really well. So the applicants I got were all like decent and high quality. And then as it grew and it got bigger, this last year, I felt like the 50 applicants I got were all just spamming me, and none of them were like really trying to get a, like, for example, I would say in the description, say to apply, send a 1 to 2 minute unlisted YouTube video.
Yeah.
And the first time, pretty much everyone did it. And then it was easy to screen out the ones that didn't. And this last time I got 50 kind of cut and paste messages.
And no videos.
No videos, and nobody read it.
Yeah, that's terrible. So I will have to go in when I do my hiring and see how it is this time. But with that in mind, I would recommend anybody who wants to try online jobs, make sure you really have some time set aside to go through candidates and hire, because it will take longer and you want to get your money's value. If you're paying that monthly fee and you want to try and hire someone through online jobs, it probably is just a lot more saturated market. So if you don't have time to really go through and screen people and interview them, I would say just go with Upwork or something. And then when you have some time flexibility to go through potentially like 50 to 100 applicants, online jobs might be a better fit for a long-term
Yeah,
VA.
it definitely sounds that, like, even though I was disappointed with online jobs, in the long run, especially after everything's been set up and you want to save the Upwork fee, which I can see being annoying, having to pay that long term. I can definitely see getting like a good like long term candidate. I think the reason why I'm so like unhappy with online jobs is because I emailed them like my experience, like not even in a pissed off way, but kind of just like letting them know like, hey, here's some things you guys can improve. It seems like, your candidates aren't even reading the emails. They're just like, copying and spamming. And they basically just wrote back like, whatever.
Canned response. Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate. I haven't interacted with their customer support at all, but I have had good success. So anybody who's looking to hire VAs, I would say try both Upwork and online jobs. They're two of the most well-known places to find them. And between the two, you'll have to definitely go through an interview process or whatever, but between the two, you should find good workers. Like all my current workers, I said, are from Upwork, and they're great.
Well, so what is your interview process like?
It really depends on the position. A lot of what I want to do when I'm hiring is figure out like who people are, because I want to keep them longer term. I just want to know more about their personality, because what I've seen in business is personality is really important to success. Like some people have a really like go get 'em, like driven to win personality, and some people just want a job and just want some cash. Some people are actually interested in an industry or a field, and some people just see it as a way to make money. And neither is right or wrong, but they're good for different positions. So I've got a girl right now who started off listing for me, but I'm moving her into doing order processing and customer service and stuff. When I interviewed her, she talked a lot about wanting to build a location independent income stream. She talked about wanting to learn how platforms like eBay and Amazon work. She showed a lot of interest, and she asked me good questions through the interview. So I obviously asked, how long can you work each day? Like, what days do you need off? Have you worked with these softwares before and stuff? And, those are sort of like routine questions. Like, what are some of your goals? Like I just said. But then she shot back some questions like, I want to know more about your eBay account. How long have you been running? Like, do you mind sharing like a screenshot of your sales to me? Like, what's one of the number one things you've learned? That to me is really impressive when someone has enough investment in landing a job that they want to, ask questions. I think that's like interview 101 too, for people who have gone out and gotten jobs like brick and mortar. Like you want to ask good questions and you want to have a good dialogue. And I look for that when I'm hiring VAs. I think a lot of people shoot themselves in the foot with VAs because they don't view them like employees. And sometimes they just view them like a cog in a machine. Whereas I try and hire every VA like a long-term employee, like somebody who I'd be paying a salary to. And so I really want to know what makes them tick. I obviously want to know if they're qualified for the position and if they speak good English and stuff, but that's sort of obvious. Anybody can figure out how to hire somebody who can do the actual task. I'm more interested in how committed are you to growing this business? What are your goals after this? Like, what do you want to do after this job? Like, cause I highly doubt any of my VAs want to be an eBay lister at 25 cents a listing long term.
Yeah. So I'm curious, if you interview someone and their goal was to start their own eBay store, would you still hire them knowing that they're going to just learn and leave you?
It would be on a case-by-case basis, for sure. Because, when somebody says that, you instantly have the guard up, or I would, saying, okay, well, they could be like ripping off listings from my store or stuff like that. Most people, I think, won't, but I just try and go with a gut sense on, first of all, is this a good person? Like, because it's totally fine in any industry to go apprentice with somebody or work with somebody and then start your own business. And ultimately, I want to see my VAs succeed long term. So I would say, for the most part, if I don't feel like somebody's about to rip me off, I will happily hire them knowing that they're going to leave at some point. I like to figure out, hey, when do you think you might want to go start your own thing? Like, is there a certain point or a certain amount of money you want to make before you do that? And then I try and work with those within those time constraints. But those people generally provide some of the best work. And if I know that they're going to leave, what I can also do is I can say, hey, you learn this position inside and out because you're going to need to do it anyways for your eBay store. And then you train my next VA, and I'll have a Filipino training a Filipino. They'll have a lot more, just a lot simpler time communicating. Even though Filipinos speak great English, there are cultural norms that they might be able to communicate that I wouldn't even think about. So I try not to have a scarcity mindset with it. It's like, I know that there's plenty of good workers out there. I can always find somebody to do the job. I would rather have the person who wants to go start their own thing long term because they're going to soak up all the information I give them.
That's actually really, really good point that you brought up about just having them train the next VA.
Yeah.
Because that could be part of the deal. Say, hey, I want you to succeed long term. I want you to have the skills. Obviously I don't want to lose you in, 6 months.
Yeah.
But if you just promise me that you'll train the next VA before you leave, I'm happy to help you get through this process and, give you the skills to be able to do it. And if anything, that's like a huge win-win for both people.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not afraid of that at all. And like the girl who I was talking about a few minutes ago, she does want to start her own store, and I totally support that. And I actually want to help her because she's helped me so much. But she's just really taken to it. She's done a lot of independent learning and independent study. And she'll come to me like on a Monday and be like, hey, over the weekend I was watching some videos and I learned about this thing. Have you ever tried this, or would you be okay trying this in your store? So she actually has helped my business grow far beyond the task that I initially gave her. And, I'm just going to have her work with the other VAs that I hire. And I think it'll be good long term. But I do go off that gut sense at first because there are some people who could want to start their own thing, be a little seedy, and just come in and rip all of my like high selling listings and just copy them, paste them, drop the price and stuff like that. And obviously you don't want to hire someone like that.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that, man.
Yeah.
Those are really good tips.
Cool.
So one of my goals for 2018 is actually rebuild up a team.
Yeah.
I had a good team when I was running my dropshipping stores, but ever since I sold them, it was helpful to have not only to run the store and make the monthly income, but also when I sold the stores, it was easier to sell it with the VA and say, you don't have to worry about much.
It's a package deal.
Yeah. So, but unfortunately I lost the VAs when I sold the stores.
Yeah.
And I just haven't really needed a VA since the only real person I hire is my podcast editor.
Yep.
So shout out to Anthony for doing this. But aside from that, I don't really have anyone else that's part of the team right now.
Yeah.
So one of my goals for 2018 is to rebuild that team. I'm starting it with the Nomad Summit. I'm having a few people help out with that. So instead of, having a lot of the workload on my back, I'm spreading that out and kind of building a team that can hopefully help me do more events in the future.
Yeah.
But also I want to start another business. I'll probably start another dropshipping store just because I know it works.
Yeah.
I know how to do it. And by building a team like you're doing, I can automate a lot of it and just have that cash flow and also, flip it for a lot of money down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. It just becomes an asset at that point, not something that you're so invested in. And I would advise anybody who's making enough money to live with some margin, I really advise anyone to hire a VA. I think Tim Ferriss talks about this in the 4-Hour Workweek, like hiring somebody, even if you're not sure what you would have them do. But it's amazing the productivity I experience in business and just in life in general when I'm able to outsource some of the menial tasks. Just like mentally, I think I'm so much more freed up to think about like how to grow my business or how to improve, whatever aspect of life I'm trying to improve. And so I think a lot of people are scared about hiring like a full-time VA because they're like, well, I'm only making $2,000 a month. Do I really want to give, $200 to $300 a month to a VA? But in my experience, yes, you absolutely do. Because there are things that you might not even be thinking about in your business, like ways to grow it or new markets that you could go into or whatever your business is. There are ways to grow it that aren't even occurring to you because so much of your mental energy is stuck doing like routine, like boring tasks. And then by the time you're done with that, you're sort of brain dead. And so your business doesn't actually grow that much.
Yeah. You're just tired. You're exhausted.
Yeah. And even if you feel like, no, I'm not, this is like so simple. It doesn't tax my mind at all. It really does. And
even, honestly, even with the editing of the podcast, I thought in my mind, it only takes me half an hour. I enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Like it's, sometimes I'll like check Facebook while like, things are editing or converting. So it wasn't like that big of a deal to me. But then when I really sat down and I was like, man, this is actually taking a lot of time. And this is time I could be doing something else, building another business, or even, just like sometimes I'll put off recording new episodes because I'm like, oh, yeah, well, now that I got to spend a few hours editing it, I don't have the time and the mental energy to do it. So now I only get the enjoyment of recording the episode, which I really like. And then I have someone else do the editing.
Yep.
That's all, online now. I think my editor is actually in New York now. And I think he has editors some other places as well.
Yeah.
And now I'm actually going to hire someone to start marketing it better because even though this is a great podcast and the people that listen to it love it, and, I'm sure all of you guys do your part by telling your friends and leaving reviews and it helps it grow. But I know this can reach so many more people, but I don't have the energy and time to market it myself. So 2018, first team member is going to be like a marketing manager to help me spread the word of this podcast and everything else I'm doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I think everybody should do it. Like I said, even if you don't know what you're going to have your VA do, just hire them. If after 2 or 3 months it doesn't work, you can let them go and you're not out that much money, but it's amazing like the little things you find that you can pass off that you wouldn't even consider up front. And even if you don't know what you're going to do once they're doing your work for you, just trust it and wait and see. If you're an entrepreneurial driven person, you're going to find stuff to do and you're instantly going to be drawn to other ways to grow and improve your business and your life. As soon as that stuff is out of your head, all these ideas will come to you. I guarantee it. I highly recommend everybody to get a VA.
I love it. And speaking of Tim Ferriss, I actually met him a few weeks ago.
Damn, name drop. That's awesome though. I really want to meet Tim. Where'd you meet him?
It was at Date with Destiny in Florida.
Oh, cool. Was he attending or just dropping in?
He was attending.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And just, we only spoke for a few minutes, but he said he really liked the conference. He got a lot out of it himself. He took a ton of notes. And I told him that, about this podcast, gave him a sticker. And I just said, thank you for, being the inspiration for now hundreds of thousands of people.
I know. It's incredible.
To, live a different life and live not necessarily a 4-hour work week, but having the option to be able to live a 4-hour work week, be location dependent, take advantage of the location arbitrage and make money online from wherever you are while spending less money with a better lifestyle.
Absolutely. I don't think Tim knew what he was getting himself into or what he was starting probably when he wrote that book, but man, he's really changed life for a lot of people. I mean, I know he changed my life. Most of my friends now he's changed their life. Just really, really smart, revolutionary, and just like the impression I get off of listening to his podcast and reading his books, a very giving, caring guy too. Real inspiration for me. I'm very jealous.
Yeah. And he's a really, really cool guy. And if you guys haven't read the 4-Hour Work Week yet, that's
then
kind
what
of
are
the
you
Bible.
doing?
You have to read it. You just have to do it. And then read Life Changes Quick after. That's pretty much my follow-up to it. That's like me. Actually, no, I guess 12 Weeks in Thailand would be my follow-up. As in just like the location independence part and just living cheaply. And then Life Changes Quick would be like part 2 of that.
Awesome, man.
But yeah, so what are your goals for 2018?
Still figuring that out, honestly. And it's not all concrete, but I'm okay with that. Big goal is automate this eBay store. And then beyond that, I know it sounds really vague, but I just want to work on really experiencing life to the fullest. And that looks different now for me than it did when I first started traveling. When I would say like, I want to experience life to the fullest, it was like, I want to travel to a bunch of places. I want to go to some crazy parties. Like, I want to work on a beach. I want to meet tons of people. That's all good. I want to continue doing some of that. But for me now, like, I think those things are like, I want to get better at cooking, and I want to be in better shape, and I want to sleep better, and I want to experience really, really good, deep, meaningful relationships with people. And yeah, like I said, all this is a little vague and ambiguous, but that's a big goal for me, to really work on quality of long-term life. And some of that will come by automating the business. But a lot of it, I think, just got to wait and see. And I do want to do some travel too. I want to go to some places that I haven't been before, and I want to go visit some friends that I haven't seen in a while. Stuff like that.
No, that definitely makes sense. And not that it's a bad thing, but the Nomad 1.0 mindset is have experiences, which is great, right? Seeing lots of places, having lots of adventures and parties and fun. And I think we almost kind of need to get that out of our system and, you know, take some cool photos, see some cool places, have a lot of fun. But then the Nomad 2.0 version is still, you know, going and having experiences, but instead of just having it be a blur afterwards, you know, we go there with intention. We say, okay, we're going to go to Budapest, but not just to take cool photos or see cool places, but maybe to visit friends and strengthen that relationship. To maybe learn a skill, maybe learn a language, or see some culture, or live like a local, or, you know, just kind of immerse yourself a little bit deeper. Yeah.
I think what's really cool about the, as we've been calling it, like Nomad 1.0, is it teaches you so much about yourself that you wouldn't learn otherwise. Like, before I started traveling, I was always, you know, curious. It's like, what if? Everything in my life was a what if. Like, what if I could live here? What if I could do this? What would my life be like if I made this much money? What would my life be like if I lived in this country? By traveling and seeing the world and meeting people and like having lots of failures and also lots of successes and good times and bad times, I've gained so much knowledge about myself and so much self-awareness about myself that for the first time in my life, and I'm still young, so I've still got a lot to learn and a lot of life ahead, but for the first time in my life, I'm in a point where I actually feel like I know what I want, and I know what makes me happy, and I don't have as much FOMO. I don't have as much fear of missing out. I'm not constantly wondering, like, what if? Like, right now, I'm not sitting here in Chiang Mai like, I wonder what it would be like to live here. What if I could live here? Like, I've been to a lot of places, and I know that this place ticks a lot of boxes for me, and I'm very confident and very settled and very at peace with that. And so I think that my big goal for 2018, while it might not sound glamorous to many people or that interesting, is just to settle more into that. Like, I know myself pretty well now, and I know what I need to be content, and I know ways that I want to improve as a person. And now, like, on the back of all that experience and all that travel and all those amazing people that I've met, I can like go in head first and be really confident in making that lifestyle decision.
I like that. That's amazing, man.
Yeah, dude. What about you? What are your goals?
So this is it's a hard question because I'm still trying to figure it out. I think going on a date with Destiny helped a lot with it. It's a bit embarrassing to say, but the primary purpose in my life, which is something that it was literally like a 8-hour kind of exercise of trying to figure out what that big question is. And, you know, we write down all of our goals in life, all the things we want to do, all of our beliefs that we want to go towards, all the things that we want to avoid. And at the end of the night, literally at like 2 or 3 in the morning, when you're exhausted, they have you write out that one primary question of what is the one kind of determining focus of your life that you want to have everything else kind of go towards. You know, and everything that you do, you ask yourself this question, right? Yeah. So every morning, you know, I've been looking at my vision board, which I've put on my wall now. The very first thing I've been doing is I read, I say my primary focus in this world is to give love to myself and to others. And I know it sounds a little bit cheesy to some people.
No, dude, that's awesome.
But what's really awesome about it is like it kind of encompasses so much. And the reason why I put, you know, well, first off, even the love is I realize with all the things happening in the world right now, especially in the US, but really just worldwide, there's so much anger and hate, and there's so much negativity. There's, you know, so much divide as well. Yeah. Love really is the one thing that, you know, really would bring all of us together and make everyone happier.
Absolutely.
You know? And love is one of those things where the more you give, the more you actually have.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like a infinite resource that actually grows. But it also encompasses so many other things, right? So it's just from like a pragmatic or practical point of view, by giving love to myself first, you know, I'm like filled. So then I have more to give to other people.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
By love, you know, it could be a lot of things. So like for me personally, you know, one of my goals was to be in shape. And the reason why I want to be in shape isn't just for me, is so I have more energy to be able to create things, whether it's business or money or experiences or things like that, to give back to others. So by giving love to myself first and having it be that primary focus, is saying, you know, if I, you know, feed myself with good food, if I put myself in good situations, you know, where I sleep well and I'm comfortable and I'm relaxed, you know, I'm getting massages, I'm eating healthy, I'm exercising, then I actually am able to do more and give more, you know. And then by giving love to the world or to others, you know, I'm able to not only grow my own kind of happiness and have those connections, but, you know, a lot of it is, you know, it's going to be kind of a spread of everything, right? Like, you know, being, you know, if I got into really good shape and people saw, hey, Johnny went from being overweight to being, you know, full of energy again, having, you know, being, you know, just being happy and healthy.
Yeah, for sure.
That could be an inspiration to a lot of people who listen to this podcast or see me, you know, speaking on stage or something like that. And then they can follow that as, you know, as a path for themselves. You know, by me making more money, I can give more money to my parents and have them have a good life and not stress. I can be more generous with my friends. I can start doing more things that don't necessarily even make money, but I know help the world or help friends or help others. And that's not only my goal for 2018, but really going to be for the rest of my life.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's awesome. I fully agree with everything you just said. And I think it's awesome that like you're in that place. I also think it's really cool, just like even just having those sort of end goals in mind as entrepreneurs or just as people. It's so easy to get caught up in just the day to day. Even when you're living like the dream, which is for many people like the nomad life, it's so easy to get caught up in the day to day, like wake up, go to a coffee shop, go to work, go meet up with some friends, like have some dinner, have some drinks, you know, go home, go to bed, rinse, repeat. And none of those things inherently are bad, but at a certain point you lose direction, you lose motivation if you don't actually understand why you're doing things. And that's been a lot of the focus for 2017 for me, is like figuring out why am I doing the things that I do? Why do I live the way that I live? And so like, why do we go out and make money? Like, it's very easy because we get so emotionally attached to money to just like make more. And then I think anybody who's had money will tell you, like, ultimately you get depressed and you feel lost, and no amount of money can fix that because you don't have your why, you don't have your purpose, you don't have your goal. And so even just coming from the place of knowing that goal, even if you don't know the exact steps, you know, to make that come true, make that a reality, just the fact that you have an end goal in mind, that you're reiterating it to yourself, that you're thinking positive about it, that you're moving towards it mentally, means that like you're going to accomplish so much in 2018 and probably be happier and more fulfilled for it.
I love that. I wonder though, if people first need to experience that part to be able to then really be able to say, but also believe that, you know, like when you hear people say, oh, money doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Money's not everything. It's usually from people who already have money.
Yeah.
So it's easy to say.
Yeah.
Or I guess also could be an excuse for people who don't have any money
and don't have any motivation
and don't have the drive to do it, or aren't willing to do what it takes, you know, and put in the work.
Absolutely. And I think I'm all for everybody making money. I'm all for people being really successful, growing big businesses, 6-figure, 7-figure businesses. Like, I totally support that. And like, I really, really respect people who do that. So I'm not bashing that in any way. I think you're totally right. Like, you have to experience both sides of something to really know like where you sit on it. Just like I had to go and travel the world. Like Steph and I had to go travel and meet tons of people and go to dozens of countries and learn all that just to get to a point where now we're in Chiang Mai and we're really happy and content and living a very normal life. It might sound like we could have just skipped all that and why didn't you just stay at home or just like move straight to Chiang Mai? But having all the experience and experiencing like really, really Western places and then really third world places and, you know, that whole breadth of experience has led us to a point of being confident and being focused and being really content.
And also kills the FOMO.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I've literally spent the last 10 months trying to find the next Chiang Mai or trying to find a better place.
Yeah.
You know, because there's pros and cons to every place, right? And everything in the world. And I've literally scoured the world trying to find a better place where the grass is greener.
Yeah.
And sure, the grass is greener in certain aspects, but then it's not as green for other things. So now that I'm back in Chiang Mai again, I appreciate it more. And also I'm less cynical about the downsides or the negatives, because I'm like, well, you know, I've been everywhere else.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm very, very happy and content here.
Yeah. And everything ultimately is what you make it. Like, your mindset determines everything in the end. And while like the actual life experiences that you have and the actual place that you're in and the food that you eat and the company that you keep is all very important, at the very end of it all is how you choose to view yourself, how you choose to view the world, and what you choose to make of it. Like, I think back to, you know, it was just a few years ago, but like when I was in my late teens and early 20s and I was making very, very little money and I was living in an apartment with 4 other dudes and I wasn't eating very well and like I wasn't experiencing any success, like by most people's standards. But those are some of the happiest years of my life, broke and spending them with friends. And, you know, you could look at that from the outside and say, man, you probably were so much happier like in 2016 when you were like traveling around and you had more money. And to be honest, no, because I wasn't in the right mindset to appreciate it. And through all that experience and now coming into 2017, I actually feel the happiest probably that I've felt since I was like 18, 19, 20, living in an apartment with a bunch of dudes. Because I actually know what makes me tick.
That's awesome. And because you started a new business this year, I'm guessing you made less money this year in 2017 than you did in 2016?
Actually, I think I made more or close.
Wow.
No, actually, no. I made less because I wasn't really profiting for the first half of the year. And then I did things like form an offshore corporation and I had various expenses that, you know, sort of took out of it. Yeah, but I actually haven't even looked at the actual amount, but I do know that I'm happier and I don't feel like I'm wanting for anything. So that's a good place to be.
And this is a great place to be, you know, for both of us, you know, kind of with this new mindset of having some of the creature comforts of being back home. I used to think, honestly, I was originally planning on saying, okay, I am sick of living out of a duffel bag.
Yeah.
I want like the creature comforts of home. And I really considered moving back to the US, either California or Austin, and just, you know, having a normal life for a while and then just using it as a home base and traveling from there. But I was also afraid I was going to get stuck. My expenses were going to be so high. I added everything up. To live the same life I would live here, you know, because I would have all these extra bills. I'd have to get car insurance. I'd have to get car insurance. Buy all this stuff. It would be like $5,000 a month versus here, even living this amazing lifestyle, even paying $1,000 for rent, which is literally 3 times what other people pay or more actually. I'm still, you know, only spending up, you know, I haven't done my math for this month yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be $2,000 or so, which really isn't that bad.
No.
Especially if you're making, you know, over 100,000 a year. And I think it's that mindset of being, I think I was stuck in that 1.0 mindset where I was like, I need everything to be cheap.
Yeah.
I need to bootstrap everything. You know, I need to take advantage of this location arbitrage versus now I also realize for long-term happy nomading, we need to have that third category, which this is something that we were talking about over coffee before we started recording, is you had mentioned that when you first start out, when you first become a digital nomad, you start, you know, living abroad, there's only 2 modes.
Yeah, the modes are, at least in the nomad circle, you know, this doesn't apply to backpackers and stuff, but this is my experience and the experience, I think, of many friends, and it might not be everybody's experience, but there's sort of 2 modes when you start out as a digital nomad, remote entrepreneur, traveling around, building a business. There's work mode, which is grinding away in a coffee shop or a co-working space. Like, I'm sure we've all met people who it's like, wow, you live in this amazing place, but you're working like 14 hours a day, which is totally fair. Like, they might be bootstrapping or trying to build a new business, like more power to them for going out and making it happen. But you're either in work mode, where you're just like hyper focused on work and work consumes your every thought, or you're in play mode, which is going out to parties or going and seeing tourist sites, or like if you're in Chiang Mai, going on motorbike trips up to the mountains, or going to Pai, or going out to the river for the day or whatever. And then what I was saying to Johnny earlier is, for me, the longer I've been on the road, I'm realizing that these are only 2 pieces of like a 3-piece puzzle for life. Like, there's work mode, play mode.
And that's not even just you, because not only does it apply to me, but all the people I've literally met now thousands of digital nomads.
Yeah.
That's literally a slogan and a sticker called work hard, play hard.
Yeah, work hard, play hard, which is, totally fine. But there's this third sphere of life, which Steph and I have been sort of very consciously trying to reintroduce. And it's been so satisfying. And I don't know what to call it. Like we've called it like idle or even boring. And that's like the stuff that you do before you start traveling and living this amazing digital nomad lifestyle. It's like you call a friend and they come over with a 6-pack of beers and they sit on the couch and you just like chat about your day, or you watch a movie, or you play a board game with some friends. Like I've got a friend here and we've been doing this like evening routine where a few evenings a week we'll just message each other like, hey, you done with work? Go grab a beer. We'll go to a small bar just like right down here halfway between our houses. We'll literally get one beer. We'll sit for like 45 minutes, an hour, and just be like, yep, how was your day? It's only been like 12 hours, 24 hours since we've seen each other, so we don't have lots to catch up on, but we'll just chat about the day, chat about the weather. Like this is not the exciting stuff that people get into the digital nomad life for. But then we go home and those little like relational interactions and simple activities, and not trying to go make something, earn money, or experience something, or do an activity. Those little like idle moments in between are so satisfying when you've been on the road for a while, and we're just loving having that.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. And that's something I've been incorporating in my life so much. And the reason why I wanted a bigger, nicer apartment where I can have friends over, but also I can just enjoy being in and not feel like I need to leave the house because it's, small and cramped and there's not enough natural light, is that third mode, which you can call being idle, being mundane, being normal. Yeah. I mean, I guess, and here's the thing is, back home in normal life, sometimes that's all we do is we have the normalness.
Yeah, sometimes it's just work and mundane and very little play.
Yeah.
And you need more of that. And that's, I think, why a lot of people get into the nomad life and they go really hard on the play. They go hard on partying. They go hard on weekend activities for the first like few months because they're just so starved for it in their previous life, and they need to get some of that into their lifestyle. They need to get some of that energy out of their system. But you sort of settle and equalize after a while. Yeah,
but unlike just a traveler or a backpacker who maybe just have that part, where they just have the play part, which you're not going to do forever. Some people do for a year, which is a long time, but then you're exhausted by the end of it. Mm-hmm. First, by being a backpacker or being in just pure play mode, you're first off not earning money, so you're just living off of savings.
Yep.
Second, you're not having that normal life, so you're not like resting, regenerating. You're just having the extremeness, which is fun.
Yep.
And I think this, Nomad 2.0 lifestyle really is the perfect balance where we can have all three. And we can have all three regardless of where we are in the world.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important, like, no matter what point of the process and the journey anyone's on, like, just keep auditing your life. Like, keep asking yourself every month or a couple months, like, what's going well? What's not going well? Like, I'm really in this mindset also because it's the end of the year and I'm thinking about like, whoa, 2017 was crazy. Like, what's coming up? But asking these questions regularly, like, am I happy? Am I fulfilled? Like, what do I need to change, or how can I experiment? Because like life is really ours for the taking. Like we do have the power and the freedom. Most of us, we're very lucky to have that power and freedom to change our life and build our life the way we want. And so it's almost a waste to just let it pass by and not question it. Even if it seems amazing from the outside, like, why are you going to change anything? You're just traveling around and like living the dream. Always be asking, like, what can I do differently? Like, how can I be more fulfilled? How can I be more content? Like, what do I need to cut out? What do I need to add in? And eventually we'll all get there.
I love it, buddy. It's been fun.
Yeah, dude, it's been awesome.
So I'm going to try this new thing at the end of the show. I don't know how it's going to work, what you're going to say, or if it's going to be a complete fail. But one thing that I've always kind of wished I had time for was kind of just be able to quickly spew out some of my like random tips, even had nothing to do with what we talked about, things that you like. It could be like your favorite software, your favorite apps, your favorite toys, or favorite pieces of advice, or just really anything. All right. So let's just give it a shot, and just really quickly in 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
What are some things that you want to leave the audience?
Things that I want to leave the audience. I'm really loving going outside, loving playing Frisbee. I like having a coffee maker at home. That's really good. Coffee makers are good. I didn't have a coffee maker for a long time. Love having an apartment with windows. If you're not living somewhere with windows, get some freaking windows. Also, I'm loving having this big water jug in the corner that has a spout on top because it's a lot like tap water. And people who've lived in Asia will understand this. Like, you're always drinking out of bottles. It's so nice to have something that I just push a button and it comes out like a tap. That might sound really weird, but absolutely loving that. Absolutely loving that. Bicycles are great. Love bicycles. Love dogs. Dogs are pretty great too. If you can have a dog, have a dog. Also, being married is awesome. Highly recommend being married. Shout out to Steph, who's over there working. It's Sunday. You shouldn't be working. Close your computer. Close it. She's the boss. Yeah. And I don't know. It's just really good to see you, dude. It's really good to see you. And I really appreciate spending time with you. And I just appreciate relationships in general. We're so lucky that we have friends that care for us and want to spend time with us. And so whoever's listening to this, go tell someone you love them and spend some time with somebody you appreciate today. It's going to make your whole day 10 times better.
Well, guess what, Nick? I appreciate you and I love you.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah. And you know what? Honestly, I love all you guys. Everyone who's listening. The fact that you guys spend an hour with me every week or every 2 weeks, and you support the show by telling your friends, but even if you never did, just the fact that you guys are listening, yeah. And you allow us to share our lifestyle, the things we've learned, the mistakes that we've made. It's really nice, it's totally, magical, man. That we're living in a world now where we can do this. Cause even just 10 years ago, there wasn't people didn't have podcasts. People couldn't just download an app to listen to this. And this is now worldwide. And this is amazing, man. So
for sure. It's been really good, dude. It's good to catch up with you.
All right. So good catching up. Let's hang out. And, for everyone listening, if you guys haven't been out to Chiang Mai yet, come check it out. You might like it. If you want some tips on more about Chiang Mai or Thailand, just search on johnnyfd.com for Johnny's Guide to Chiang Mai, which is for long-term living, or Johnny's Guide to Thailand, which is more for tourists, something you can share if someone just has a week or two to come. They're free. They're on the blog, johnnyfd.com. Nick, if people want to keep in touch with you, are you on social media?
I've been sort of inactive on social media. Many people in the nomad sphere will know that I made YouTube videos for a while. Haven't really been putting up videos, so that's not a good place to find me. And I'm not very active on Facebook and stuff, but you can reach out to me on Twitter if you want to say hey, twitter.com/Nick Danforth. I also try and post photos on Instagram, so you can comment on those or view my Instagram story or follow or whatever. That's instagram.com/Nick Danforth. So just my name. Super easy to remember. Would love if you said hey.
Very cool. Everyone, thanks so much for listening. Please tell a friend about the show. If you want to screenshot it, put it on your Instagram story, give it a little shout or link to Travel Like a Boss podcast, or however you want to tell your friends about the show, or if you want to leave a review and give us the best present ever. Either way, I love you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. See you guys all next week. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you want to hear more, including the bonus How to Choose the Perfect Niche episode, join our mailing list at travellikeabosspodcast.com. See you next week, and remember, if you want to travel like a boss, you need to be your own boss. So start your online business today and start living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of.